All right guys, I'm gonna be reviewing the AIT Lightning Blaster. AIT is a brand new company. This is their first blaster that they've designed. AIT is a subdivision of 40 Max. And here is the pistol. Very nice, very compact. Now what you get when you order it is one mag, a charging thing, and the proprietary battery. I'll show you the basic features here. This is a select fire brushless pistol. So there you go, you just slam in the LiPo battery here. This is a 3S battery, and there is a button that you hold for a couple seconds, and then it turns the blaster on. You have a selector switch here, which is safe, semi, and then this is burst or auto, which you can configure. It's got trigger here that's got a little trigger, like Glock style, like mini trigger within the trigger. And this one is basically like a rev trigger. And then you got the main trigger there that'll make it shoot. And you can see it also has a display on the back. And this will show you a couple things. Mainly it's used for an ammo counter, but it'll also tell you like the fire mode that you're in. It also has kind of a unique feature. I don't know if you can see in the mag well there, but right down there is a reflective IR sensor, and that's used to detect darts and magazines. So when you put in a mag there, it'll detect that there's a mag. Now it says exclamation point mag, meaning there's no magazine in it. Put one in, 0. It's a pretty simple feature. Basically all it does is either detect a mag or detect a dart. It can't tell you how many darts are in the mag or anything like that. It's just essentially used for dart and mag detection. So simple features here. I'll put a dart in to the magazine. This mag holds 10 darts, I believe. And when I put it in, currently it's on safe. When I put it into semi or auto, I don't know if you can hear, but the motors start up. They're idling right now, so they are spinning. When it's on safe, they're not spinning. When it's on semi, they start spinning, and they're very quiet. Probably the quietest brushless blaster that I've seen, both when firing and just idling. Super quiet, and I love that about the blaster. Now check this out. Right now it's still in semi, but if I pull the mag out, the motors stop. So again, it's using the mag detection there to determine whether or not to run the motors. I put it back in. Since we're still in semi, the motors start spinning again. So that's pretty cool. Now, while it's in safe, you can double click that button in there, change it to auto or burst. And right now the burst is, for some reason, it's a 2-round burst. Kind of interesting. I really like this selector switch. It's ambidextrous, so feels really good. Mag release, gravity drops mags, and this mag release is can be set to either side. Very simply, you just push this side out, it'll pop out, you can put it back in to the other side. Very cool design. I also forgot to mention, this is not a solenoid pusher. It is a like brushless motor on like a little, I don't know how to call it. It's like a screw track type of thing. It's an interesting design, and I think it works well. I think it's really cool, but it's kind of unique. Now, I think I'll go into the pros and cons of this blaster. We'll start with the pros. This proprietary battery is awesome. Now, when I first saw the blaster, I thought, okay, like proprietary batteries, I'm not down for that. I don't want to buy a bunch of new batteries, but once I started using it, I think this is really great. Now the batteries are, like I said, proprietary, but they are reasonably priced. I think each unit is 15 bucks, and you get one included with the blaster itself, so I think it's fine. Here's the charging base. Plugs in via USB-C. And, oh, gotta turn on the power supply here. Okay, there we go. The beeping was from the power supply, not from the charging base. So it's on yellow when it's on standby. And then if you plug this guy in, it'll turn green because this is already fully charged, but when it's charging, it'll stay yellow. When it's on like standby or whatever, it'll blink yellow, green. Anyway, that is really cool. Now this battery is a 3S battery, unprotected. So the protection circuitry is inside the blaster and inside of the charging block here. And I think that's fine. Frees up space for the battery. You can just fit more battery in here instead of having a bunch of additional circuitry. So that's cool. If you've ever ran a small flywheel pistol, you know that the batteries get run through pretty quick. Same with this one, but just having this quick access battery makes charging so easy. It's just really great. So, you know, whenever you're done, you need to top up, just pull it out real quick, put it back in the charging base. Works amazing. Now the charging, I found to be pretty fast. It doesn't support any like fast charging or anything. I think it's just standard 5 volt, 2 amps maybe, but charges real quick, so I like that. Next thing that I like, the ergonomics of the blaster. Feels good. It's made out of polycarbonate, so it's really tough. Feels great in the hand. Controls are really easy to reach, and everything is ambidextrous. So it's really nice, really compact too. Selector switch, feels amazing. You hear how clicky that is? Really nice. Screen, very cool. So here's the original magazines. They fit really nice. You don't have to press the mag release button or anything. They just slide in, gravity drop. This is a 10 round mag. They also have these extensions that'll extend the capacity to 20 rounds here. And these magazines use a constant force spring here. So not like a big, like square coiled spring. It's just a constant force spring here. So that makes it really easy to add an extension. This extension is super simple to install. There's a base plate here that you can just pop in these tabs, comes out, get your new mag extension, just slides in like that, clips in. Now you got 20 rounds. Fantastic. Also, these mag extensions, you can get them on foamtechnician.com if you want printed mag extensions. If you just want to get the files, you can get them on the 40max website, 40max Airsoft website. Mag compatibility. This is a Nightingale mag. This is a Venom Pro mag. Now, the profile of these magazines is the same as the originals. So they'll fit in here. However, there's a key difference here. Obviously, the magazine notch is not present on the Nightingale or Venom mags. So if you want to use them properly, you'd have to cut notches in. And also there's a tiny chamfer here, which is not present in this or this. And that means, well, that's because I was slamming it, but it'll hang up here unless you press the magazine release button. Now, otherwise it'll fit in via just friction. So yeah, semi-compatible. You can make these mags compatible if you carve out your own notch. And I think that would be a good idea because I guess we'll get into the cons now. This blaster has a few little quirks that make it a little bit weird. So I found that the original magazines hang up a lot. They'll jam pretty frequently, and they work best with worker darts because they are very slightly shorter than, let's say, the Adventure Force or other short darts. So that tiny bit of difference in dart length makes a big difference. So these magazines feed best with worker darts, but they will still hang up quite frequently. You know, sometimes you get lucky, you can get through a whole mag, but they're kind of unreliable, and I'm not sure why that is, because as far as I can tell, I think maybe the length is like a 0.5 millimeter more narrow in the AIT lightning mags, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, feeding with the Nightingale style mags or the Venom Pro mags, flawless feeding. These will go full auto. These can feed worker darts, adventure force darts, whatever half darts, they will feed flawlessly. So I think these are the superior mag system for this blaster, although they're not natively compatible. Another thing about this blaster, currently, because it uses this IR reflective sensor to detect mags and stuff, it is not compatible with black darts. And that's because the black dart sits up in there and the IR gets absorbed into the black color instead of reflecting back, so it can't detect them. It essentially reads no mag. So yeah, if you ever have like black darts mixed in, once it hits that, it'll think, hey, there's no magazine in the gun, and then it'll stop firing. So that's kind of a problem. Another thing, the firmware in here is very much a work in progress. They're still updating it. I have the latest version right now. Before, it used to hard cap once the ammo counter dropped down. But, oh, there's no battery in here. Put the battery in. Look at how easy this is. Love that. Okay, before the ammo counter used to count down, but for the meantime, they've made it so that it counts up and there's no hard stop. So we can go full auto here. See, it's still shooting. Now, the ammo counter for now stops at 30. I don't know why they didn't make it go higher, but it stops at 30. But you can still keep firing. So you could run a huge mag in here and it'll keep going. And now the ammo counter should reset when you pull the mag out. So there you go, mag detection is being used there to reset the counter. Before, in the old firmware, you had to press the button in the trigger well to do that, but no longer the case. So there is an improvement there. Another con with the blaster, this like double trigger safety design, I think it's really cool to have this be effectively the rev trigger. However, there's no physical lockout. Now, if you're familiar with like a Glock, they have a trigger safety and you can't pull the main trigger without pulling this trigger first. Now, this is a small gripe with it, but it's possible, depending on the way you're holding the trigger, you could like pull the main trigger without fully depressing the rev trigger, and it leads to kind of just, I don't know, sometimes it'll feel unresponsive because of that. It'd be really nice if they had this physically lock out the trigger so that you had to press the rev trigger first before you could pull this down. That would just feel a bit nicer. I think one cool feature that they could add here is I personally don't use the ammo counter ever. I find it unreliable when it jams and stuff like that. But I think something fun would be if they could add a little character in here, like a little face. I don't know if you've seen the, I think it's called Mochi or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but it'd be neat if it's in safe, the little guy's sleeping. If you put it in semi, he wakes up, and put it in auto, he gets real angry. And when you're revving, he's got a face, and when it's firing, it's a different face. So I think that would be kind of just a fun gimmick. And when you're in that mode, maybe completely ignore the IR mag sensor. So that would make it so you could shoot black darts and any other darts without weird readings. Kind of a fun idea, a gimmick maybe. Some people might be into that. I'd be into that. Any other notes? If you get a jam, or if you want to clear out this foam dust, supposedly you just pop this rear pin out, and then this trigger pin also, I just popped the rear one out. I think the trigger pin doesn't, well, let's see. I think it's a little bit smaller. I don't know. Anyway, I don't think the trigger pin actually interferes with this, but even when I've tried pushing it out, I can't get the upper to come off. I don't know why. I don't know what the hang up is here. I'm too scared to break it. Oh, also the blaster's on. Not good. Anyway, they showed a tutorial. They show you pop this out, and then pull this out, but it still feels like I'm gonna break the blaster, and it's working fine now, so I don't wanna break it. But you're supposed to be able to take it apart that way. I don't know how they did it. What else? When upgrading the firmware, one issue I ran into is that it upgrades over Wi-Fi, which is super convenient, but the computers I have are kind of old, and this one requires, to connect to it, it requires a Wi-Fi card that can do like WPA3 or whatever protocol, and the ones that I had couldn't do that. They were on WPA2, and so I had to get a new Wi-Fi card to upgrade this. But once I had that, the upgrade process is super simple and really convenient, actually. There's a lot they could do in the firmware upgrades. Some sort of mode to ignore this mag detection and dart detection sensor. And I know they put it in there and they want to use it, but you know, if you're not strictly using specific darts and all that, it causes problems. If they could have a mode that turns that off, that'd be awesome. Little character here, I'm telling you, it would be so cool. I know they're working on adjustable FPS. They're trying to see if that's viable, so that could be coming. Changing the burst mode from 2-round to 3-round or 4-round or whatever, that being programmable would be nice. Another thing I wanted to show you is, check this out. So I'm gonna turn the blaster off. When I turn it on, you can see the front sight lights up with an RGB LED. I think that's a pretty cool piece of hardware. It only ever turns on when you, or it only ever lights up when you turn the blaster on, but the hardware is there. So it would be cool to see a feature in the firmware that would allow you to turn this on during various times. It'd be cool if maybe when you flick it out of safe, you can have the front sight light up or something like that. Choose the colors. That could be a cool, fun little feature. These are all things that they can address through firmware upgrades. So the hardware is here. The hardware is here, they can do a lot. But yeah, I think probably the biggest issue is the magazines. Everything else is just like little quality of life things, but these magazines being unreliable is pretty lame. So if they could redesign their mags, figure out whatever's going on, why these jam up, make a new magazine that fits this, and then upgrade their firmware, this blaster would be pretty awesome. Now, if they came out with a version 2 of the blaster completely, I would do a physical lockout for the rev trigger so that it's a proper trigger safety type of thing. I would add brass inserts here so you can mount different types of optics and stuff. And I think that's all I would do. Those are the only major changes that I'd want. The rest would be firmware based. So just some minor changes and they could have something that is really, really awesome. It would compete with the other best brushless pistol out there. If you're interested in this blaster, pick it up at the 40 Max Airsoft website. Use code TETSU to get 10% off, and it's also an affiliate link, so I'll get some money, which would be cool. But yeah, I like this blaster. Some problems with it, but it's pretty cool. And I like messing around with it. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Bye. A little side note regarding the IR sensor. I was actually working on a little prototype thing like 5 years ago, and yeah, I was using the same sensor up here at the top of the mag well too. Same goal was to have an ammo counter with the screen and everything. But yeah, so it's actually really cool to see that tech used here, but it has the same flaws that I was running into.